There we go. We still have people.
Yay!
And I see a limited amount of beers. That disappoints me a bit, to be honest.
You could have bottled one.
I will after.
For a beer sponsor. Just say.
Maybe I'll do it myself next year. I'll bring some. Well, I'm the only thing between you and beers, so I will make sure to stay within the allocated time slot. I've learned that is the best way usually with the last keynote. I'm Niek, work in Schuberg Villas. Not going to do a long introduction. I have a nice QR code after with my LinkedIn, so if you want to know, go to the LinkedIn. Let's go. I like to do a little bit of like scene setting, storytelling. So I need a bit of your imagination, which might be hard after 3 very long days of DevOps. But let's imagine that you are a platform engineer working at a bank, payment service provider, on a very, very important piece of software. You're building a platform that hosts a transaction platform. If it doesn't work, you have a lot of very angry e-commerce customers. Or a lot of angry me's if I cannot purchase something. Important job. So it's Sunday, you're chilling, sleeping. Let's say it's 3 a.m. We're in bed, and a fucking pager goes off. I know the feeling, it went off yesterday. 3:30. That sucks. So you get out of bed, get your laptop, sit on a couch somewhere, like this guy, with your phone, and you have no clue what's happening. You're looking, I have no idea how to find it. So what would be the logical next reason? Well, I'm going to put messages in Teams, Slack, call my coworkers. I don't care, it's Sunday at night. I'm just going to call. Yeah, no one picks up. So I'm trying, but no solution, still errors. So I decide to, well, let's go to work early. So I go to, at 6 a.m. I go to the office, good spirit, behind my laptop, computering hard, still no fix. 7, my boss woke up apparently and decided to call me screaming loud that shit is broken. 8, still not working, some VP found out and find me at my desk. Not very fun, not very chill. Well, let's say we are a bit further up in the story. I found a fix. Some idiot deployed Friday. Some change. I think that's the problem. Easy fix. I roll back his deploy, and we're done. Recognizable, right? Some deployment messed up, production, someone get paged. Sucks. Really sucks. I roll it back, full in good spirit, calling that VP, found the issue, rolling back now, just to find out that rolling back does not solve the problem. Some guy decided to make database changes, schema changes, and only made changes and no reversible operation. Any logical cloud engineer would say, well, then we just restore the database, right? We found out he deployed at Friday, so should we restore to Friday? Or maybe the page started on Sunday, should we return to Sunday? Well, maybe first try Sunday. So you start thinking, not everyone has a SQL DBA in his team to help you with this shit. So first let's find a book or something like how to restore a database, because I've not done this for a very, very, very long time. How does this work? That's hard. So I figured it out, restored the database, and then we all do a root cause analysis, right? Who here does root cause analysis? Shit, that's a lot of people. That's nice. So hopefully this talk is all going to be peanuts for you. You do it, you figured it out, you write all these nice action items, right? We need to really, really learn how to restore a backup and do that more frequently. We really, really, really need to make how to roll back statements on our SQL migrations. Maybe we should not deploy Friday afternoon late. Those things end up somewhere on a Jira backlog, 2501, 2502, and 2503. and no one ever looks at that thing again. Is that also recognizable? Who here has a very long back? See, almost the same amount of people that do RCAs. Life goes on. It just goes back to normal, and nothing happens. And you know what happens in 3 months' time? You get paged again at 3 a.m. because some database schema was broke. Good part is that you restored the database 3 months ago, so you don't have to use the book again. That's maybe the only good thing that improved. But that sucks. It sucks to be a firefighter. So, where will you end up? I looked at some stats, because I love numbers, make slides good. It seems that DevOps engineers are stressed more often than typical IT engineers. I would argue that if you ask people who also have a pager, it may end up even worse. That's not cool. I don't like stress. Apparently, if we look at broader, they've searched about how many people experience burnout-related symptoms. Fatigue, being very grumpy at work. That's me sometimes. 77%, that's a lot. And this talk is about mission-critical systems. And we learned that mission-critical systems are not that special, they just have higher demands. But with higher demands comes higher pressure. And we've learned some lessons, and I want to share those with you in the next 20 minutes, so bear with me. How to do this in a more sustainable way, because apparently this does not work, right? People shouting, it's not nice. Waking up at 3 a.m., also not very nice. Making backlog items with all good intentions and never come to them, also not very nice. And eventually it happens again. And you know what's the real result? People hate that, and they leave your company. So how to make it better, where to start? I only have pictures from here, so it's going to be better. I like to say that always start with safety, right? The ability to speak up in your team that stuff is not going right. I have someone from our team. I think you can argue that I speak up a lot of times that shit is not going right. But that requires some level of safety and trust within your team to do that. And that's very, very, very hard. Who here would say they feel very safe in their environment to speak up? Usually most people say yes. I see some hands not raised, but those are people either on their phone or laptop. So I would assume that everyone would say, yes, I feel safe at work. It's too easy. But feeling that safety is different for everyone, right? And we usually go over this very, very easily. Like, I need a culture of safety, and then we're done. Write it somewhere, like, we are a safe environment where you can speak up in open space. Print cool posters, stick them on the wall in the office, and you're done. I've printed those posters myself. The problem is that it's different for every individual. Some people find it very easy to speak up about things that are wrong, and other people find it very hard. And you need to create a space where everyone can do that. Lesson from my own experience. I'm someone who's quite loud and obnoxious at a lot of meetings. And we also have people in our team who are less loud and less obnoxious. You really need to make sure that everyone is able to voice those opinions and are able to speak out. And sometimes I can be a bit rude, like, it's fucking terrible. I stopped doing that most of the time, unless I'm with people who know I can handle it like Danny. I really love this graph. It's from one of my favorite books. I also have a picture of the book, so you can take a picture, buy it, read it. It's about how would you observe people be. 1x, how safe do they feel? I feel very safe to speak up without any repercussions. I won't get fired when I admit a mistake. Or very low, whenever I admit a mistake, my whole promotion for, I don't know, partner is gone. Not very safe. And on the other hand, motivation to do it very right. We have very high standards and we want to achieve those high standards. Or is it, it's okay how we do it currently. So, let's start. If you have a very, very, very high ambition level, with a very low safety, you get scared people. they won't do shit. Like, I want to try cool stuff, I want to promote shit, but every time I fail, my boss will shout. I can guarantee you what's happening. You would do it 1, 2 times, and then you stop doing exactly this stuff. You know what's even worse? If there's not a lot of motivation to do things properly, but also whenever you fail, there are some repercussion, because then you're just going zombie mode. You're just going to stay there, do nothing. It's called apathy in the book, but I like zombie mode better. If you have a low motivation, so there's not a lot of, well, ambition to do things right, a lot of encouragement to do the things in the right way, but at the same time it's a very safe space, that's really chill. Like, I always say that for me this is what I envision working for a government feels like. I cannot say that because there are probably people working for a government here, but this is how I would assume that it be. Like, in the Netherlands at least, it's very low chance that you get fired for messing something up. And a lot of the time you hear like IT project X spend over 6 times the allocated budget. So the safety should be okay-ish. Where you want to be is more in the up left corner, right? You need to point out when shit goes wrong, but you also should have high standards. That's where it gets real good. You need to set the bar, raise the bar, but whenever you don't meet it or you see something wrong, you have the ability in your team to speak up about it. I have an example. I made this yesterday myself. Who uses pull request? That's again a lot of hands. I also use pull request. Who has someone in your team, if you send a pull request, they approve it within 30 seconds at least? You all know where to find that person, right? That's nice. We also have that guy. I'm looking at him. It's amazing to have someone like that. But what's even better is someone who provides a lot of feedback, right? Who provides actual, tangible feedback. And sometimes it can be a bit rough, like you built something, was that really right, should you do it again? But you want to have that trust and that ability in your team to actually do that. So next time, do not be the person that just clicks. Same goes for retrospectives, right? Everyone retrospectives here? Every now and then, sometimes you screw something up and you just do one. You want to have that safe place where people actually set that high standards and speak up about things that don't go well. You know what helps deteriorate those standards? Making 800,000 action items never get to them. So better make sure you get one and actually do it. People with pagers here? Not a lot of hands. P1 incidents suck, right? You know what sucks more? Not helping your colleagues to figure out what's going wrong because you're afraid to ask out loud. What the hell broke? I use my own example. This was yesterday. I got a P1. I just sent in the group Slack, like, does anyone know why this is a P1? What did it break? And then someone said, yes. Then I felt a bit stupid. But you need to have that way of working with your team, right? If you think I cannot ask that question in a group of 35 people because people will find me stupid and I will have a bad review next year and you're going to try to troubleshoot for the next coming 8 hours, you have no happy team, no happy clients, no happy you. Like, you want a situation where this stuff happens. This is the book from the metrics. Take pictures, order it, read it. It's an amazing book. See, I see people taking pictures. I'm waiting. Did I went too fast? Yes. I can go back. I really thought I was there. Okay, I see the phone's gone. Once that's there, it's time to build some amazing habits within yourself and within your team. They're not ordered in any particular order, but I think these are the things you see at teams that are doing really well. Trust me, there are empty slides, but in the end there's a list you can also take a picture on if you want to keep them. Because probably this is not going to end up well otherwise. You have a picture of robot arms. So, what you see in a lot of teams is that they try to automate a lot. Who's doing automation projects? Yeah, I hate that. Automation project sucks. Automation should be a byproduct of building good tools and building good software. And a lot of companies take something, click it together, say, well, we should really, really automate this every now and then. Or it ends up on that backlog, or you're doing it, importing it, whatever. It's done. And then you run it again, and it doesn't work anymore. That sucks. It needs to be part of your design. And not just tech, because the tech part is really, really easy. But also automate processes. P1 incident, it's very nice if there's automatically a Slack channel opened with people related to that service. If the logging is dropped into that Slack channel. Because then you have a very nice and easy incident report. Who here needs to do communication when something fails? Sucks, right? I have to look up every time when I need to email. You know what you can automate? Making an email list with email templates about, we have a P1, this is the impact, these are the users, and this is the distribution group. Save some time. So automate. Next good habit. I'm not a pilot or want to be a pilot, but they use checklists, and checklists are freaking awesome. Especially for the very, very boring stuff. Let me give an example of something very boring, but you want to write it down properly. I'm no DBA by heart, and I've mentioned that before, and I don't want to be a DBA, so don't ask me DBA questions. I do know how to migrate one database to another environment. That's fine. So I would assume you have some steps, right? Send an email to the development team that you're going to do this. Reasonable? Probably. Kill the connection to the database? Reasonable? Probably. Make a backup, restore the connections. I see thumbs up. That's about it, right? I forgot one. That's mailing the developers that it's done. Like, that's the shit you always forget. You know what's very nice? A checklist with all those steps. Like, you're going through it, you're going to migrate the database, you need to do that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and then you look at it, and you say, well, this sucks, we need to automate it, and you start making an email template, and it's get better. Well, you know what's going wrong the most? The things you've done 25,000 times, because you forget to send that email, you forget to stop the connections. Make checklists for the boring stuff. And then automate it, because it sucks. The pictures only get better from here. Next habit. Skip and avoid context switching. People do a lot of context switching. It's how you live. But it's terrible, right? It's disturbing as hell. You lose a lot of time. Anyone ever seen this graph? People seen this graph? It's an amazing graph. So it says that effectively, if you do one task, you spend 100% of your effective effort on that single task. If you're doing one thing. If you're doing two things and you're switching context, it drops. You're going to spend more time on switching tasks. So the 20% is lost on actually switching tasks. This can be a Slack message, right? Someone disturbing you while you're doing something. If I'm in the lucky moment to write some code and someone sends me a Slack message and I'm looking at the Slack message, then the first 20 minutes I'm like, where was I? What feature was I actually building? That sucks. And then I get another Slack message and the whole process starts again. If you go up to 5 tasks at the same time, like working multiple tickets in multiple systems in multiple different locations, you get to the almost 100% of losing of your time of task switching. It's very easy to avoid. Everyone has a phone, probably. It's like distraction device number 1. Put it in airplane mode while you want to do something for 30 minutes. That works. People have a MacBook, Windows, all cool stuff. I don't know about Linux, never used it. They have also distraction-free modes. Use it. Get rid of the task switching. But you know what you need to do this? That first level, that trust. Because if you have someone in your team that says, can you do this for me? You say no, and they start shouting, usually you end up doing it. So you need that fundamental layer to be able to say no. And not just in your team, but also in the context, right? Recently, I was at a client where a VP shouted at developers. That's not really the safe environment that's going to avoid task switching. This goes for everyone. And please, 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 if you want to do something effective, put it in airplane mode. Otherwise, you're looking at pictures of cats within 5 minutes. Promised, only gets better. When you're developing products, you need to balance what you build, right? If you got a lot of pages, usually there's something wrong in the quality of your product. Or you're not spending enough time on making it real good. You need to balance quality and functionality. So let's do another round of raise hands. Who spends more time on new features than on actually making things better? Really? This whole completely destroys my talk. Because in the most companies I work with, they spend like 80% of the time on new features, and then they have like deliver something, and then there's a project clean up, or we do 9 sprints of building something cool, and then we do 1 tech debt sprint. Usually that's not enough. Usually then you have like a backlog item that you want to do. A tech debt sprint, yes, I've heard them. I've heard people do tech debt sprints.
Never seen it.
Housekeeping sprints, or the even worse one, we do buckets. So you get like buckets, and you have 1 day per sprint to do on tech debt, because that's in the budget. That's the best one. That really sucks. But you need to find a fine balance, right? And you know what you need to have, that fine balance? That level of trust and safety in your organization. Otherwise, it's never going to work. Because if you have a VP say, we signed a new client, and that client's going to pay a shit ton of money, but it also requires 20% more features because we said we already do this for 6 other clients, that usually goes first. And you need to have the ability to actually say no, because did you know that we got paid like 9 times in the last week, at night, at 3 a.m.? We need to fix that. That requires, to balance. No, features.
When you get paid at night, you don't work during the day.
You don't? I got paid at 3 a.m. last night, and I'm here. Trying to be sharp. I really love the approach from the Site Reliability Engineering book. People read it? No? Yes? Make picture, read it. I really like the whole approach of having the SLOs about what your typical client wants and expects. Measure it, and then use that as a temperature gauge to actually see, are we delivering that or not? Everyone took a picture this time? I think I find this one the most important one I actually have, because I love champagne. But it's not about celebrate the big wins, it's about celebrate the boring releases. Like, usually we get the champagne when the most riskful shit goes live. We don't really know how. We worked until way too late in the evening to fix all the last bugs we found. It was freaking amazing. Let's buy 8 bottles of champagne and celebrate. But the boring shit never gets celebrated. I personally believe that every go-live should be a freaking boring go-live, and preferably on a Wednesday afternoon and not on a Saturday evening. Because usually we're more fresh. It needs to be boring. It needs to be have 0 impact. It needs to be well rehearsed, automated. People need to provide feedback. Do you know how go-lives usually go? There's some stakeholder shouting really hard that it really needs to go live on that date. And then you think, well, that's very close away. It's a bit like how I did all my schoolwork. And then in that last week, oh shit, we need to do a shit ton of work. And you start building that last piece, and on Friday evening, you do your last deployment, praying it goes well on Saturday. That's not okay, right? Everyone here knows that's not okay. But you need that safety to say, well, that's not okay. To speak up and say, we need to do differently. And then probably you're still going to do it, but once you had the situation where you didn't have to do it, please celebrate that as well. Celebrate the boring go-lives. The boringer, the better, and it deserves champagne. Everything deserves champagne. So, automation should be a byproduct of good engineering, not a goal. You shouldn't have automation projects. If you build something cool, it should be automated. Use those checklists, especially for the mundane shit. The easier, the more you will forget in those tasks. You always forget to send the email, we restored your database, and then after 6 hours you get an email from the development team, hey, can I use my database again? Oh shit, yes, 6 hours ago. Learn to avoid that context switching. Put off your phone, learn to say no. Balance time between the functionality and quality, and celebrate the boring shit. Get the champagne out. And these are habits, right? So I always like to say one last thing, and I'm the worst example in the world for this slide, so apologies up front. Please don't treat it like the gym. Like you get a subscription, pay that 60 euros, go really, really well for 3 weeks, you go 4 times a week, and then you stop doing it because it sucks. Don't do that with these habits. Start really small and just take in mind that you don't need to do them all. Take one and do it. And just like the gym, if you have a subscription, maybe it's just me convincing myself here, but it's better to go one time when you think like I should go than to do it 0 times. And it's way easier to go one single time when you feel like it than force yourself to go 4 times a week. So don't treat these habits as the gym subscription that's lingering around you sponsoring the gym. Really do it and start small. Don't try to do them all at once. And don't forget me to add me on LinkedIn. That's it.
Thank you.